Hey,
Welcome, Bo Derek.
Hey, is this my chair?
That's your
Yes,
chair.
we're on the air.
Yes. Welcome in. This is Mark Normand.
Hey,
Mark.
nice to
He's
meet
a
you.
comedian. This
Big
is
fan.
Jordan Harbinger, one of the
Hi,
top
Jordan.
podcasters in the world. And this is Jim Norton.
She knows.
You know Jim Norton
Yeah,
by
I know
now.
Jim. Everybody knows Jim.
Of course you do. Jim travels with a penis pump. So we all have
I do, in my luggage.
our credits here. Welcome.
We were reading up about you
you.
before you came in, and with all this, like, you got married, you met your husband at one point when you were 16, and you guys had to leave the country. That's fascinating to me, that you guys left and then came. Was your family okay with that or no?
No.
Normal family.
No, I met him when I was 16. At 17, we were overseas making a movie. And I don't know what happened, but we ended up together and we couldn't come home till I was 18.
Oh, okay. What were you? Which movie?
It was called Once Upon a Time.
Is this before Orca?
It was before Orca.
Oh, that's the first one listed. I don't think that one, the one you're talking about, is listed on your IMDb.
No, I don't think it didn't get released.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
It was well, maybe it did. I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was a tiny little independent film when they weren't chic then, little independent films, and
Right. There was no sort of. It's just a digital release.
there was no independent film festival. That's
Right.
for sure.
So what happened? You had to call home and go, look, I'm not coming back for a while?
My mom was with me as my chaperone,
Oh. Nerd
And how did you
alert.
break it to her?
so she had to go home alone.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Damn.
It was bad. You know,
Yeah.
but when you're 17, you feel like you know everything.
Of course, you're making the right
Yeah,
decision
I'm
for
in
your whole life,
Europe, I'm
right?
traveling. I'm with this exciting older man. Who was an artist. It was fantastic.
Do you?
But now I look back on photos and think, I was so young.
Yeah, can we see those?
Yeah.
do you take that and like look at the way sort of the mistakes that kids make in Hollywood now that are 16, 17-year-old, like those mistakes get covered tremendously now because of kind of the culture that we're in TMZ and
Social
everything.
media and all that, yeah.
Do you look at it and go like, well, yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you're 16 and 17. We all do dumb shit.
Of course.
Yeah.
And the only saving grace, my husband was sober, so I didn't get into drugs enough.
Oh, that's
Oh,
good.
that's
and,
nice.
And that wasn't part of it.
Right.
Did you, like, when you
But
were
I was just lucky. I think I would have done it all.
being with someone
Yeah.
that much older, did you guys have anything in common, or after a while? But do you, like, mentally or no?
I mean, obviously, I was absorbing and learning from him like a sponge. I won't lie, but I do have some strengths and some core, and we were very compatible. Funny enough.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
I'm kind of a gypsy. We traveled the world together, and I'm selfish, so it was fun.
Plus, there's also probably something intoxicating about, like, I know normally this doesn't work for people, but for us, we're different, and this is special,
Yeah,
right?
it's very romantic.
Right.
It is.
Did you like
Right.
Richard Harris?
Loved Richard Harris. I did 2 movies with him because I did Orca. So I got to know him on Orca, and then I got to hire him. I was producing a Tarzan movie, and I got to hire him.
Wow.
Oh, what did he do in Tarzan?
He played my father in Tarzan.
Oh,
He was great
He
and a
was.
great friend to the end. I was just in London last week at the Savoy Hotel. I went in and had a drink just to remember him because that's where he lived at the end of his life.
he lived in a hotel?
Uh-huh.
He was a big drinker, right?
He was. And then he was and quite a violent one.
That's what I think I heard, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
He was one of those bad boys.
Yeah.
Was he like that
I
on the
loved
set?
him.
I heard Robert Shaw was like that on the set in Jaws. Like, one day you get a great take, and the next day, nah, not as good.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
he was behaving, but then he would have one rough night on
Uh-huh.
both films. I think on Orca and Tarzan.
So you kind of be waiting,
one
like,
rough
knowing, I know we're going to have one night, one rough one. Once we get past it, it's going to be all good.
Punch somebody and then you get on with it.
Isn't
Right.
that old school Hollywood? Yeah, you punch somebody, whatever.
But it's weird. It's weird because it was both times. It was an assistant director.
That he hit?
Yes, but the guy, sort of pushed him.
Yeah.
Let's go have a drink. It was sort of he deserved it
Right.
because we all knew that he was on the wagon.
Right.
Oh.
Ah.
They just wanted the story out of it. Like, let's see if we can
they wanna
rile
get
them up.
Close.
Right.
They wanted
Got
to
it.
be the buddy, and they
I want to have
started
the
calling him
experience.
Dicky and pet names.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Then they
Did
get
he
punched
like-
in the face.
Yeah,
Did he like that or no?
everybody likes to be loved.
No, did he like being called Dick or little pet names, or did he hate it?
He was okay with it.
He was okay with it?
Depends.
How did you handle, like, because I remember, obviously, you've heard this a million times from guys, but growing up, of course, when 10 came out, I mean, every guy was thinking about you. I mean, how did you handle just going from being a regular actress to you're this iconic figure overnight?
The business just sort of hit me by surprise. And all of that fame hit me by surprise. So you just deal with it day to day. I had no grand plan.
No.
I didn't have agents I hadn't even fantasized about it. So I was so unprepared.
Like, it's not even a possibility. This isn't one of the things that would happen.
That's preparation. If you dream I'm going to be a movie star, that's some kind of preparation. I had none of that. So I just dealt with it day to day. I had a strong, good relationship that was more important to me than the business. So it's been fantastic, the business.
Was Dudley
for
Moore
me.
a delight?
Yeah.
Oh, he was. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's cute.
I like Dudley.
Yeah,
You
I've
do.
been lucky.
Yeah, I do.
I
Same.
worked with some great legends and some really incredible men.
Yeah.
Real
Well, I mean,
men.
you work with Dudley Moore. You work with Chris Farley.
Chris Farley and Anthony Quinn. And
Yeah.
Richard Harris. They're just fantastic.
Is Hollywood
Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
In what?
Yeah.
Sir.
Change of Seasons, Sir Anthony.
What was Holly? Because there's all this Me Too movement now, where people are being kind of called out for the casting couch and for
Yeah.
hitting on actresses, or
Sure.
or how, was it different then, or was it just one of those things where you knew it was a part of the business, you avoided it when you could, and no one talked about it?
Oh, everybody talked about it. It was part of the business. It was just accepted and established as part of the business. And it wasn't necessary. It gets complicated, this, because it was so accepted for so long. And now we're seeing this isn't gradually fading away.
Mhm.
We just came on like a freight train and things are changing. So, and there's no excuse for sexual abuse, but there's something weird about Hollywood, and people will kill for money. They'll kill for power. You put fame, that just makes all those things very small. Fame is just so much more important to people, and they'll kill everybody for it. So you have this commodity
Yeah.
that women and men start to barter to. It's a very complicated industry.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about. When they talk about Me Too and everything, they don't talk about the elements that make it so specific in Hollywood. And it's the
It's
power
specific to
dynamics
Hollywood.
and
It's
the
fame.
and the fame and
It's fame.
everything is such a big part of it. But I feel like so often that Hollywood almost wants to protect itself and go like, no, this is a global problem and a world problem. And it is a problem outside of Hollywood, but not like it is inside of Hollywood.
It's different from, they say, oh, every corporation, every business atmosphere. It's not. It's different there.
How did you feel when sort of the insides of the business really started to become fodder for everybody, when the gossip industry really started to take over and every single thing that celebrities did started to get monitored and you were responsible for every single word that came out of your mouth at all times?
The gossip was always there. You were owned by a studio that helped negotiate a little bit between the old gossip columnists. So that was always there. What's different is there's no separation now between your public and private life.
Right.
And it's the actors themselves that are creating this. And it's hard for them to complain later when something comes out that they don't like, because they've been selling. You know, I came up in a time, and it was always important to me. My private life is my private life, and I kept that separate. But that's all blurred now.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
you know, they're making fame and money off of it. So, but they have to accept that the bad's going to come with it too.
we were just talking about social media right before you walked in, and how, like, you know, even people who have made a good living off of it and that it's helping them and it promotes them and everything are starting to realize, like, this is the thing that is completely blurring the line. That once you become Instagram famous, that's not like, I'm just famous on Instagram. Like, you're expected to share your entire life and to compare and to allow people to judge and literally judge, like, we're going to click this and say if we like it or we don't like it. And it's kind of incredible that people have voluntarily put themselves in that position.
It is. It was shocking to me at first, but now I understand it. It is. you can't argue.
Right.
Do you ever wish you weren't famous? Like, you ever out and people just feel like, I wish nobody knew who I was right now. I just want to be alone.
I kind of have that now. I'm not so relevant as I was. I used to not be able to walk down a street, leave a hotel room, and now it's great. I have the
you
best
like
of both
it?
worlds. Yeah, if I get in trouble, I'll find someone who will recognize me.
Like if they say it's too late to board the flight.
Let me go put on some eyeliner and fluff up my hair and look for somebody
who
that
might
will
have.
recognize me and help me out here.
So you're at that fun level of fame.
It's great.
Where it's like you still get the sort of adulation from fans,
I get the
but
table
you can go to the
at the
grocery
restaurant.
Yes.
I do all this, and then I can still go into a museum and enjoy a place or a restaurant or walk down the street and be anonymous.
And the
It's
people who
great.
recognize you are probably polite. Oh,
yeah.
They're not maniac. But in like 1980 or 81,
No, I couldn't go anywhere.
You
I
still
was
got the air.
captive.
you were.
You still
I
have
was
the
a
air.
captive. Huh?
You still have the air about you. Like when you walked in, I was in the lobby and I was like, I'm not sure who that is, but she's famous. and then of course they came and sat down, your assistant, and then I was like, okay, that proves it.
Yeah,
That-
it's
that's
an
the
automatic
proof.
aura we
Right.
develop if we
People like circling
sell
around
so
you.
many movie tickets
That's
or
right.
something.
What would you do? Because I heard Henry Winkler, like when Happy Days was on, used to have to. He had 5 bodyguards when he went out. I mean,
Yeah.
how many people would you travel with? Would you have to have at least one person with you? Would you have a couple?
Yeah, it was funny when I first traveled. The first time I traveled alone, all by myself,
Oh, man.
someplace. Because from the time I was 22, I was always with someone, if not a lot of people. And it wasn't that I was a diva or that I demanded all this attention. It was just physically impossible to get to your car.
Was it weird to do stuff by yourself? Like I always wonder when a president is done, and the first time you sit in traffic, do you realize
Oh,
like,
yeah.
wow, this sucks? I forgot.
Stand in line to get on a plane,
Right.
You didn't like it, right?
bad seat on a plane. I mean, it's an adjustment.
How
It is,
old
right?
were you when
It's an
you
adjustment.
first like traveled by yourself? At what point in your life was that?
I think the first time I traveled by myself, I was 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was before.
Yeah, but then from 22 on, for years and years and years, I didn't.
You didn't
And it
have
was
to.
all, you get met at the plane with a car.
Right.
Was there a
It's
point
very
too,
nice.
like, because you were working a lot? Was there a point where you're like, I'm not getting as much as I used to, or did you stop wanting stuff? Or was you like, fuck, I want to do something, but I'm just not able to grab something, this month or this year?
I'm still shocked anyone hires me. So
I know the feeling.
We're all in that club, I think.
honestly, I'm not just saying that. I think it's a miracle. I stumbled into a business that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Everybody would kill for it.
Right.
And they sweat and they toil and they labor trying to get the tiniest part. And here I was just offered the whole industry.
How did that happen?
Just happened. I was in a movie. Blake Edwards hired me for a movie called 10. And it was a tiny part. I'm in the movie about 10 minutes. And overnight, I
Wow.
could do anything I wanted in the industry.
You could, right?
Is that
Yeah.
when you started producing and doing stuff behind the scenes?
Yeah.
And is that a survival mechanism, or is it just I'm curious about this part?
I was making little films with my husband
Mhm.
before. I
Yeah.
mean, $60,000 movies. And then all of a sudden I became famous and I was being offered all this stuff and being pushed and pulled. And then somebody said, why don't you go make films with your husband? You just be in them. And you get a lot more money more than $60,000 to make them. And that sounded like fun. A lot more fun.
Did he ever get like, because you're dating this beautiful, girl at 18 or at 17, and all of a sudden your wife is the most famous woman on earth, like literally the most sought after. Did he ever get insecure or possessive or say, no, I don't want you to go work with him? Or how did he handle it?
Obviously had a lot of advice. He was in the business. His parents were in silent films. He was a big movie star. He was married to Ursula Andress, the first Bond.
The sensuous nurse.
Oh my God! You know about
I'll tell you
the
how. My
sensuous-
dad took me to. Hold on, this story's not horrifying. My dad took me to a drive-in, and there was the one movie playing, and the late movie was the sensuous
It was
nurse.
your dad and his friend B, right? You were in
Yes.
the back seat.
But no, I said, Dad, I want to see this. And he goes, we're not staying for the sensuous nurse. He didn't want to
Right.
watch the sensuous nurse
Right.
with his 28-year-old son.
Yeah.
Little did he know
Anyway, and
what
then
he'd become.
and then there was Linda Evans. So he'd
Oh,
seen it all.
okay.
He'd seen. He knew the business.
He knew what it was
inside
like to have a
out.
wife that everybody was in
Yeah,
love
and
with.
he's only. People think he controlled my career and ruined my career. The only advice he really gave me that stuck was, just because everyone else wants it, you don't have to. Make sure you really want this.
Right.
And I sort of took it on my own terms.
Why'd they think you ruined your career?
Because people thought I should have gone on to be a bigger star, done better movies.
Because you were making your own movies instead of doing the big blockbusters.
They weren't very good, but everybody made their money back and a good profit. So that was.
And you were having a good time.
I had a great time.
Do you ever wish? Is there one that you were offered and didn't take that you were like, I kind of wish I would have tried that one?
There were probably a couple. I thought of one yesterday. I can't think of it right now. Somebody I wished I'd had worked with, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over that.
Right. Especially with as much as you were able to accomplish anyway. Like, I mean, what do you...
I know, honestly.
Did you get a lot of weirdo offers? Like guys saying, I'll give you $200,000 to do my birthday party.
Not too many. When my husband was alive, people were afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a real tough guy. He was a real tough guy. So that's why I don't have a lot of casting couch stories. I have a few.
Oh.
But nothing really bad because they were afraid of my husband.
But so there was a couple that would try. Now, would you, when something like that would happen, where a guy would go, look, I got this, whatever method they use to try to sleep with you, would you say, I'll tell my husband? Or how would you diffuse that?
Most of them didn't even try it with me. But when they did, I was brought up, you kick them in the nuts. If they don't back off.
Simpler time.
Did they ever not back off? Was there ever a point where you had to just really...
Have to use that foot?
Yeah.
Twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's not easy. I'm not very tall, so it's not easy.
You mean physically?
Hit the target. It's not that easy, but just the attempt is usually plenty enough for a guy.
Wow.
Right. Even if you hit the thigh or something.
Oh, yeah.
I know where this goes next.
Yeah.
Right.
I have long balls.
Oops. And it wasn't aggressive or violent. It was just grabby, touchy.
Right.
And you kind of kicked them and...
Yeah, back off.
Right. That is the
back up.
Kicking in the nuts is
space.
the universal symbol for back off.
Yeah.
Was it ever hard? Like, was there ever an actor you were working with? Like, I love my husband. I'm not gonna. But like, oof, this is a hard one to not take the offer.
Good question.
That is a good. I've never had that question. No.
Come
Really?
on,
No.
Hasselhoff.
Come on, you never worked with Yaphet Kotto? I mean, come on.
And I work with some beautiful men, but I'm kind of just that kind of girl.
If you can
I'm
have
in love.
one.
When I'm
Fantasy.
in love, I'm in love. That's
So for you, that's the important part. There was no one that you were like, oh, Burt Reynolds. I could,
Oh,
Burt
Reynolds.
was funny.
he was.
That hairy chest.
You're a fan, Mark?
Oh, yeah. I have
wasn't.
the poster on my wall.
Yeah.
The rug.
Oh, man.
The rug.
Was Burt a difficult guy? Because the only thing I base it on was his appearance on The Tonight Show. And this is much later in his life where I think he was a little bit insecure because his star had waned quite a bit. And there's this interaction that he had with Mark Summers from Double Dare. And he clearly felt disrespected that this dopey kids game show host felt like he was on the same level. And they had this really uncomfortable throwing water at each other, hostile thing. Was he always like that, or do you think that's something that developed later?
My stepfather was one of the greatest stuntmen who did a lot of his movies, stunt coordinator. And they had a good relationship. I just think that, it's a tough business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did have some abuse problems, substance abuse problems, and that'll distort you.
Well, your stepfather, I'm sorry, was a stunt coordinator who helped Burt Reynolds.
Who did some of his movies,
Yeah.
Did he do Deliverance?
He didn't do Deliverance. I know he did Hooper, and he's even in Hooper. They even use his real name and his character.
Which is the
about stuntmen.
Which is the one where Burt Reynolds backs out of that parking garage in Chicago? Was it something Sharky's Machine?
Yeah, I think Bobby did that.
He
Bobby
did.
Bass was my stepfather, yeah. Very
Wow.
famous guy. Yeah,
Wow.
cool guy.
Yeah.
Terminator, the good action movie.
He did the Terminator?
Mhm.
That's
So
amazing.
He was a stunt guy too.
Stunt coordinator and stuntman, yeah.
Wow.
How many injuries did he suffer? Like, would he come home with broken arms and broken legs?
Yeah, and in the end, it caused him to have Parkinson's.
How could you, from, I guess, brain injuries or smacking his head? I didn't know that
man.
could actually give you
Yeah,
Parkinson's.
it's
Yeah.
pugilistic, I think.
I guess that's Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Had injuries.
Wow.
What do you
Because he did a lot of the car flips, Bobby did.
Oh, wow.
And so it's literally people will be like, well, how does the stunt work? Well, you sit and you're in a car
Yeah.
accident 5 times a day for the
sure.
next 2 weeks.
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
And it flips. Yeah, those guys still get hurt, and safety regulations are a lot different than they were then. Back in,
Right.
what was that, when he was doing that, the 60s and
Oh,
The
forget about
70s,
it.
80s.
Yeah.
70s and the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you promoting, too? Because we haven't even gotten, you're doing
Yeah.
what is the Red Dress Collection fashion show?
Fashion Week here in New York. You probably know that.
Obviously.
And,
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of our forte.
Yes.
So I'm here for the
I'm wearing a Vera
Clearly.
Wang
Yeah.
Kiss shirt.
Yeah, the American Heart Association, room full of guys. You probably know all the symptoms for a heart attack. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in women, and most women don't know it. 1 in 3 women will die of heart-related disease.
I did not know
And so awareness is really important. And so there's a big fashion show tomorrow night, and we all wear red, all the girls and guys, and I get to walk Flynn, the winner of a Westminster dog show, on the runway, because there's a new
He's a real dog.
focus on how pets, especially dogs, help our health. They motivate us, keep us more fit. You live longer if you have a pet. And most of us who have pets know this instinctively
Sure.
already, but science and medicine has validated it. So
Yeah. Whenever I've got old relatives that the dog dies, I'm like, we got to get you a new dog
Yes,
right
Yeah.
away.
exactly.
Because you know that that was the thing that keeps you going. Like, no, we're getting a puppy in here. Not an old
Yeah.
dog. Like, we're getting a brand new puppy.
Yeah.
Let's get some life in this house.
Wants to walk around,
Yes.
running around. You got to walk around,
Exactly.
clean up. You got to feed it. Oh, I should get up and go to the store.
take them
all
for a
that
walk,
stuff.
all that stuff.
That's where I screwed up. My grandmother's dog died. I got her a fish.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That's not how it works.
So
Yeah,
how
no.
did you get involved with this cause? Like, did somebody you love die this way? Or because usually it's something personal that will attach somebody to it.
I have personal, in my family, definitely personal stories. I mean, myself in particular, but I also have a line of pet products called Boderick Pet Care, and we support retired military working dogs. I work on wildlife trafficking issues, so I have an association of
Oh, you do with the animals.
working with animals and for their benefit, for their welfare.
What do you think of how easily those help dog vests are passed out these days?
Oh,
It seems
yeah.
like, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I get excited when there's a dog on the plane. But
Sure.
clearly,
They usually cheer up
Yes.
the cabin, don't
I
they?
love it.
Yeah.
Every time a dog walks in, I get excited. But
Yeah, I brought a Rottweiler on. Nobody cheered. Attacked everybody.
it's your girlfriend. But
It was a boy, and you're right.
but there are people that
Yeah.
get annoyed that the help dogs, that it's given out a lot more easily now, that it's not necessarily just a physical thing but a mental thing, and anybody can go and get one of these
being
vests.
abused.
It's
Yeah.
The
being
rule is
Oh,
being
yeah.
abused,
Yeah.
and we don't like that. You know, I was a sports commissioner for 7 years, so
Wow.
I
A
don't-
sports
yeah,
commissioner?
You've done it all.
racing commissioner in California. And,
Wow.
Wait, for like NASCAR?
horse racing.
Oh, horse racing. Okay.
Ah.
right.
Vice chair.
But-
And so I'm kind of a stickler for rules.
Is
and
there a harm? Is there a
regulations.
harm in abusing that rule?
It's just unfair to the people who play by the rules.
I see.
Yes.
And
I see.
so I'm kind of that sort of person. And so I think we should just change the rules, allow the pets,
Right.
or a certain amount of pets, and you sign up early for like you do for a good seat
right.
or something. They should just come to terms so it's fair for everybody.
Throw them in Economy Plus or
and
something.
I don't
you pay
think
the
I
extra
think we
money.
can draw the line at ducks and peacocks and pigs.
Right. So you think if somebody's like, no, I need this peacock as my comfort animal, you're like, look, I love animals. I love people. Relax. You
Yeah.
don't need a peacock.
Here's a cat.
I don't know.
That was
I don't,
United.
I might be wrong there. Maybe maybe you should
Yes.
be
What
able to bring a peacock. I don't know.
I have a pet that comforts me. It's a Japanese hornet, and I want to bring it on a flight.
It's got to be trained though. That's the thing is like people will go, oh well, this is my comfort dog. Great, it obeys. It's sitting there quietly. It's not yapping. It's not biting people. But when someone's like, this is my comfort thing I got yesterday, and I printed this paper off on the internet, and now it's like eating people's food,
Right.
going
on
to
the floor.
peeing on
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah.
It's
No.
clearly not trained. You just bought this, and then you bought a vest, and now you're trying to be like, it's the law. It's
Yeah.
not.
I think we
Right.
get rid of babies.
Smart. Smart. That's
I
one
can't see
angle
any
to take.
downside to that.
Those
What
and
could
the
go wrong?
people are shit.
Well, the
People are
problem is, if you have an airline delay, like delays suck, but if you have a 3-hour delay and the dog hasn't gone in the bathroom and everybody can bring a pet on, there's like a whole plane full of dogs that need to go to the bathroom and there's a 3-hour delay.
Bring the
It's just
dog in
right.
the bathroom and throw a wee-wee pad down.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why not?
okay.
Yeah.
Why not? What about can cats be comfort animals? Because I feel
Oh,
like
sure.
No.
I've never met a cat that's trustworthy.
They're antisocial.
No,
Yeah.
they're
Come
not.
on.
like
They're not.
even cats that like are nice in moments. You know, you could see it in their eyes. Like they got their nails, they got their fangs. You know, at a moment's notice, if anything
turn
about
on
their
you.
life is skewed.
Cats are cool. Cats are cool.
They are
They don't
cool.
kiss your
No.
ass.
He
I love
He had a
them.
disgusting cat. Like I love cats. His cat was a pile of shit.
We had
Yeah.
to
Terrible
give
animal.
my cat to a lumberyard because it got to
lumberyard.
a lumberyard.
Specifically.
You just threw it in the lumberyard?
No, we found a nice lumberyard that would take it and it could chase raccoons and do wild cat stuff because my wife went off birth control and in post-coital moments, my cat went into attack mode.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's the
And,
thing.
and my
Yes.
wife said, we can't continue to have post-coital moments and the cat. And I said,
Cat's got to go.
coitus is important to a relationship. You know,
Wow.
that's my opinion.
We have a cougar here.
So, that was my experience. Maybe it's because we named the cat Bruiser. I don't know.
Maybe.
It was an awful animal, so he's very biased against
I
cats.
am. I had a bad experience. I loved the cat very much. It was very difficult, and that's why we found a great lumberyard for it. But
I didn't know that was a thing.
You should change that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's true.
Lumberyard.
What's
Yeah,
wrong with
sounds
lumberyard?
terrible.
Yeah.
No, it's probably very good. A lot of mice.
I'll tell you what
Yeah.
happened. We were worried about it, and we called worried about the cat. And on the way out, the guy was like, yeah, we get a raccoon every now and then. That should be fine, right? And we were like, oh, my God, what are we doing? What are we doing? And so we called the lumberyard the next day and said, how's Bruiser, blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, the good news is we don't have a raccoon problem anymore because Bruiser chased all the raccoons out of here. And I
Oh.
said, you know what? If a cat is overpowering raccoons,
Yeah.
it's not meant
That's
to
a
live in an
cool cat.
apartment. Yeah.
That's a
And then
Yeah.
good
Sam
cat.
and his wife showed up, and the cat slammed the door in their face and then wept quietly. Well, look, it's really nice to meet you, too. And your husband, is your husband or your boyfriend, John?
Boyfriend.
Oh, you live with John. Yeah, he's.
But
he
you guys
was-
have been together forever.
Yeah, for like
Forever.
19 years.
Yeah.
Common law.
I like him a lot. He was in that show. What was Bobby Kelly's show that he was in with
Oh,
Dennis-
Sex, Drugs, and Rock and
Roll?
Yeah, John Corbett.
Yeah,
But
I
I'll
saw
bet-
you at the premiere of that, and I wanted to say hello, but I'm very rarely too nervous to approach somebody. I was actually too nervous to walk up and say hello to you.
Well, the restraining order.
I was. No, I'm very, because you were with your husband. I didn't want to,
Does he still have Sex and the City fans approach him?
Yes, all
Because
the
people are
time.
obsessed with that show, and he's like
all
so.
the time.
I mean, he's a giant, and he's
Yeah.
instantly recognizable.
He's just bigger than life.
Right.
And in any way. And then that show and Northern Exposure
Yeah.
really
Oh, yeah.
still
Yeah.
affects people.
What do you mean
It's
in
a
any
very
way?
thing. What?
Well, you said he's bigger than life in any way.
Well, he's 6'5".
Oh, he's a physically
He's
tall. Yeah.
physically big.
Were
The
you-
funniest thing is when he and Chris Noth are together.
Oh, my
Mr.
God.
I mean,
Big.
you want to see jaws drop when they walk in a room.
Yeah.
Because they are bigger than life. They fill the doorway anyway.
Isn't it amazing? Both of you find yourself in this relationship, and you both have these roles that no matter how many years go by, people can't let them go. They just stick with people forever. It's pretty rare, right?
It is rare.
Yeah.
It is rare.
Well,
Power
you gotta
couple.
be.
That's right.
You got to be a certain kind of guy to date Bo Derek. Like you can't just
You can't
be a regular
be
guy.
a
Yeah.
Jim Norton, as it's known.
You can't be a Jim Norton. No.
No.
Not just because she would not choose that, but you just can't because I'm too insecure and I'd be too easy to have
You
somebody.
think you'd get jealous?
It would depend. Yes.
But you're a 10 out of 100.
See, body shaming.
Not good.
Not
good,
good.
Mark.
Yes,
Not
yes,
good.
yes.
Do you think sex symbols are made differently now than they were back then? There was you, there was Farrah Fawcett, like there was all these, and now all of a sudden, you know, if you do like a porn tape that gets leaked, you're an iconic figure.
Please do one.
Well, what do I think about this? We're just, as a society, we're just consuming celebrities, actors, all our pop stars. We're just consuming more.
Yeah.
It was going to a movie was not. You didn't see movies every night. You didn't
Right.
absorb so much of it. So it's great for the business. It's thirsty for content.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good for the business, and I'm just amazed these young people have it together as much as they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
You know, I found it very overwhelming. Some of them are having struggle, but that's part. You struggle if you're whatever your job is.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure you have
struggling.
people who are struggling too. But
Yeah, like people who aren't famous. If you really put a camera on them during their college years, it's not going to be pretty.
No.
You know,
and
it's
they're
not
all
gonna-
going to go through this. You just go through it in public.
Exactly.
Instead of just your friends and family knowing it. But I'm amazed they have it so together. Because at 22, I was
not
I was
together.
not.